Hello, I'm Ashley Smith, the mayor for Canyon City, and I am really excited to be here today with an entire panel from City Council and City Hall to talk about the state of the city. Today we will be reviewing kind of where we've been, where we are now, and where we are going moving forward in the future. Today I have along with me Ryan Stevens, the city administrator, council member Brandon Smith, Mayor Pro Tem John Hamrick, Councilmember Dennehy, Councilmember Gonzalez. We also have Rick Harmon, our Economic Development Manager, our brand new Police Chief, John Schick, Adam Lancaster from Engineering, and Patrick Mulready from our Planning and Development. I'm really, as I said, excited to have them here. And interesting little fact is exactly 1 year from today, I was sworn in as mayor and we had 3 new council members sworn in as well. And it has been one heck of a year in 2020. It has been dominated a lot by COVID-19, but also we have had opportunities to make incredible strides forward as a city. I would like to introduce you to the entire City Council. We have Frank Jaquez, Mandy Reed, John Hamrick, Tim Dennehy, Brandon Smith, Dolly Gonzalez, and Jim Meisner. They have all been a pleasure to work with this year. Just a little bit of Canyon City statistics. For some of the biggest concerns that we've had as a city council and as a community is a really severe housing shortage. And part of that is seen in our rental vacancy rate. A healthy vacancy rate is about 5%, and we are below 1%, and we have really felt that as a community, and that is one of our biggest concerns moving forward. Homelessness has been another big topic for us as well, and the Built for Zero was started about just over a year or so ago. And they have already housed 178 homeless households, which is incredible hard work that they have done. And they are still moving forward on addressing homelessness in Canyon City and Fremont County. There's a number of projects that we took on this year on top of COVID-19. Some of the big ones, besides doing our changing how we do fall cleanup, doing Red Park, we had an agreement made with the high school with concerns over the safety for our high school kids during school hours. And so now we have an agreement with the high school to keep the park secure and safe for our kids during school hours. And that was a really big deal for us. We also created the Mayor's Industry Advisory Council, which I appreciate incredibly, to have that opportunity to run things by them and also get a pulse of where we are as a city and where we need to move forward. Something that was really exciting this year was having the wayfinding signs and the monument signs put up in Canyon City. We've actually started that project almost 5 years ago. It was a long time in coming, and it's really been a lot of fun to have those on there to highlight our beautiful city and our unique small town feel. Something else we have a lot of topics about is potholes. It seems like anytime we make a comment or a post on Facebook, somebody always says, yeah, but what about the potholes? And in 2020, we did fill 150 potholes, and we actually have made it available where you can report any potholes of concern online on SeeClickFix, and they get fixed within days. Also, just some interesting facts from COVID. Both the History Museum and the library saw some impacts from the shutdown. For example, the visitors for the History Museum was down in 2020 compared to previous years, but their donations were almost equal to before, which is awesome to know that. The library also had considerably less items checked out because of the closure. However, they did do coming up to your car service to check out books. But they also had an increase in ebooks this year, which is great to see. And they also, despite the shutdown, were able to be really innovative in their changes that they made to serve Canyon City. We had to be really creative in creating alternative events to keep our morale up as Canyon City residents. And some of those things would have included the reverse 4th of July parade. That's the first one we've ever had in Canyon City that I'm aware of. We also turned our tree lighting into a virtual event and supported the reverse trunk or treat, which is a lot of fun for our families. I'm also really happy to report that Canyon City was one of only 3 that opened up their splash pad to the public in the state of Colorado during the pandemic. And I'm glad that we could have that available to our families and children during a difficult time. We also worked really hard again on keeping up morale and community pride and opportunities to promote our small businesses and supporting them during these difficult restrictions that were placed on them. A really important part of our success this year, and hopefully moving forward in keeping up with our goals for economic development and becoming business friendly, was the creation of the Economic Development Team. And that includes Rick Harmon, the Economic Development Manager, Tom Dixon, the Small Business Manager, and Brandy Fowler, our grant writer. And they have worked incredibly hard this year to take care of our small businesses and to help keep them alive. And as we move forward into the future, also business recruitment and education and other things. As you can see on this slide, there's a number of opportunities that we had with the Colorado CARES Act, plus additional grant funding from private funders that we gave to small businesses and nonprofits. There was a total of over $2.1 million in grant money to Canyon City in 2020, and 85% of that went to our small businesses, whether it was helping to create outdoor patio seating, to-go boxes for our restaurants, or sanitation supplies for hand sanitizer and such that they were required to have. And that has been an amazing opportunity for us to bridge maybe some past prejudices of the city's reputation, and show that we really are working hard to be business friendly and approachable and helpful to help make sure that we all succeed together. I'm really grateful for that opportunity that we had to do that. And these are just some of the highlights that we did during 2020 and where we've been. And what I would like to do now is turn our time over to some of our department heads so they can give a report on where we are and what we have in queue for 2021. And we'll go ahead and start with Adam Lancaster from the engineering.
Thank you, Mayor, for this wonderful opportunity to share what we've been doing and what we're working on now for the future. I'll start right out with the streets. What we've been doing with 2A has just been amazing since 2017. As you showed in one of your slides, you know, we've done 11 miles, centerline miles of roadway in those years. Over 66,000 tons of asphalt have been installed. Just under 200,000 square yards of asphalt we've reconstructed with that. 23 different sites have been completed to date, and of course we plan on continuing that this next year. We've purposely this next year chosen some streets that do not have as much utility work to be done underneath them to allow some of the utility companies to get caught up with some of our 2A work, because we've been advancing so quickly. And so obviously, we finished North 9th Street last year, which was a huge deal. We were also able to complete one block of Meadows Avenue that had been destroyed in the last couple of years with water leaks and other utility work. And so this next year, our priority street is going to be Orchard Avenue, North Orchard from Cherry Street to the city limit line north of Central Avenue. And then from there, on our list, we have South 11th Street, which will be our last segment there. South of Main Street between Royal Gorge Boulevard and Main Street that we haven't completed yet. Since we've done the other surrounding streets in that area, that'll be nice to finish up that there. And then we have North 10th Street adjacent to the new Washington School. We did 9th Street on the west side this year, and now we're gonna fix the street on the other side of the school this next summer while the kids are out, and then that whole area around the school will be improved finally. And then also we have Allison Avenue between Yale and 15th Street on our list, and also North 8th Street. There's a segment there that has some brand new water main in it, so we're going to replace the pavement there. And then we have just a few other streets that we have on hold in case, the funds are there and we can continue to move forward. We've done a really good job of advancing the design of those projects so that they can be bid out even sooner in the year than what we've had to do when we first started, where we were kind of starting behind. Now we are finally at the point where we are starting out on January 1 with projects on the board to be bid. So that's exciting stuff for 2A. As I mentioned with water lines, because we're given a little break on our water utility for the 2A stuff, they are able to get some water line work done that's unrelated to street reconstruction, and they are working on a new water main that has been needed to be replaced on Central Avenue for some time now. That's underway now. There is going to be a new water main installed on Orchard Avenue in conjunction with that street reconstruction. And also, of course, we did all brand new water main and storm sewer on the 9th Street project last year from US 50 to Mystic Avenue. And that just an incredible improvement there on 9th Street that I think we're going to be able to enjoy for some time. On the stormwater capital improvement projects, we completed last year the North 9th Street new storm sewer I just mentioned. We wrapped up all the culvert work that was done in Dawson Ranch, and we have gotten to the end of the design, very intricate, complicated design work for the Rhodes Avenue channel and the WPA channel. And so this second quarter of this year, we'll be wrapping up easements and agreements and permitting and all that so forth, so that we can get that out to bid this fall and build it in that final winter of that COP project that we have. In conjunction with CDOT and some of the safety issues we have around town on the state highways, we will be putting in the brand new sidewalk where there is no sidewalk now on South 9th Street, State Highway 115, essentially from the Arkansas River south to the city limit line. There will be new sidewalk there, and we'll be making some accessibility improvements to all the intersections along that stretch as well. The great news about that project, it is a grant-funded project with no local match, so that's going to be exciting to see that. Then also, we are working really hard with CDOT to do the construction of the US 50 pedestrian crossing improvements on US 50 in the downtown area. That is something that's been long coming. We're getting very close. It's in final design. Sometimes clearances that take some time with CDOT, but we're hoping that it's done in an expedient manner, that we can build some of that this year or all of it. And so that's exciting. And then also with CDOT, we were awarded a grant to improve some of the lighting along the highway in East Canyon. We have a lot of issues out there with safety that's relevant to lighting, and so we were awarded a grant there, and we have a kickoff meeting just this next week coming up with Black Hills Energy to start the design process for getting that lighting installed. Whether we see any of that construction this year or not is unknown, but definitely starting this year, and we're excited about that. And then finally, with grant projects and roads, we are in our final grant cycle that we will ever receive for congestion mitigation and air quality, or other words we call CMAQ. And so we have 3 streets that have been designed for gravel streets. They're currently gravel streets that will be paved this year and will be bid out soon. And those are the balance of 4 Mile Lane, Grape Street, and the south end of Evelyn Drive that's currently gravel. Those are all 3 on the list to hopefully be paved this year if the funds will extend that far. And finally, as mentioned, we completed the wayfinding, the bulk of the wayfinding project last year. We still know we have a number of pedestrian and vehicle level type signs, the smaller signs, and we hope to continue the process with installing those this year and into the years to come. So, thank you.
Thank you, Adam. We'll now turn our time over to Patrick Mulready from Planning and Development.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin today with a little bit of conversation about the city's comprehensive plan and our update to the zoning, subdivision, and development regulations. The comprehensive plan is the city's statement of goals for where it sees itself going and being for the long term in a wide cross-section of municipal functions, such as livability, transportation, recreation, cultural and historic resources, and land use. The land use component to a comprehensive plan serves to inform the zoning, subdivision, and development regulations the city uses to guide future development into meeting those long-term goals. Canyon City last updated its comprehensive plan in 2001, and the city's land use regulations have become a series of ad hoc amendments to a generic set of regulations the city obtained from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. Realizing this, Council authorized a budget allocation for the 2020 budget year to update the city's land use code, and at the same time, the city obtained a matching grant from the state of Colorado to simultaneously update our comprehensive plan. After a bid process and review of the submitted proposals, this effort formally commenced last June with the selection of the planning firm House C. Levine to assist the city in accomplishing this huge goal. Our branding for this effort is Picture Canyon City 2040, a pathway to the future. Now, this effort cannot occur without extensive public input. That public outreach effort began in July of 2020 and included a website where the public was invited to complete a community questionnaire, submit photos and comments on a map social function, a survey of utility providers, public service providers, and local government agencies, and extensive interviews with community stakeholders. This effort continued through the balance of 2020. Meeting jointly, City Council and the city's Planning Commission serve as the advisory and approval body on this effort. In October 2020, this joint body reviewed the analysis of the city's current conditions relative to the 2001 Comprehensive Plan and its recommendations, as well as a diagnostic report on the functionality of the current development regulations. This was followed in December with an evaluation of the organizational structure. Both the new Comprehensive Plan and the new land use regulations will follow. Going into 2021, these efforts will continue with drafts of the core elements of the comprehensive plan coming forward in January for review and drafts of the new land use regulations beginning in February. This will be an iterative process and will involve review by both the joint City Council Planning Commission advisory body through the first and second quarter of 2021. The city's ultimate goal is to present both an updated comprehensive plan and a new land use code to Planning Commission and City Council for potential adoption in the third quarter of 2021. We plan to make both documents easily understandable and user-friendly for everyone, regardless of how much experience they have in land development. Now I'd like to speak a bit about housing, if I could. On the subject of housing, a 2019 study conducted by the Upper Arkansas Area Council of Governments revealed a significant shortage of attainable and affordable housing locally. This shortage affects primarily young professionals, first-time home buyers, and people looking to move to Canyon City. In addition to this study, the city has heard for the last couple of years from local professionals in the home building community that there is a noted shortage of available properties to build on in order to address the housing shortage. The city has the goal of addressing both issues, the lack of quality, attainable, and affordable housing, and the perceived shortage of residentially available properties in the community. Toward that end, the city has begun to draft residential property summaries for sites both in Canyon City and within our ultimate growth boundary. These summaries will include vicinity maps, parcel information, zoning and potential residential yield under the existing zoning, and photographs of the various properties. Being able to represent these properties are available for residential development will obviously require approval of the individual owners of the properties. This will require an outreach effort to contact these property owners to obtain their consent, and we hope to have this outreach effort completed by mid-year so that these summaries can be used as a tool to connect home builders to sites for future home building in the city and its environs. And that would conclude the planning summary.
Thank you, Patrick Mulready. Next, we'll have Rick Harmon and then Chief Schick.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I really appreciate the opportunity to share our objectives, I guess you could say, and what's been going on in economic development. It's been a very, very, very active year, as you can imagine. I know that Councilman Smith will be talking about some economic development initiatives coming up, so I'll refer more to the strategic planning process, the Main Street strategic planning process we're taking care of right now, as well as business recruitment and retention, and give you the basics of our department. As you mentioned, we have a grant writer, and we have a small business and Main Street program manager, and myself. And the three different functions work very hand in hand. grant writing, and all three of us work together very closely to see that resources are being provided to businesses as we can provide them as possibly as we can, and continue to research whatever resources we can get to them. We're also researching considerably how to promote small business, how to retain small business, how to attract small business, how to brand our community so that small businesses will want to come to our community. How do we make it easier for businesses to understand how to function in Canyon City, how to create a business in Canyon City? And then on the larger scale, how do we attract primary jobs so that more people can work in our community instead of outside of our community? All of these things need to happen in order to support our downtown and support our local businesses and make this, quite honestly, a very thriving community. So on the strategic planning side, Main Street strategic planning began before I started. It's kind of a mix of two different programs. We've got the Main Street, or excuse me, the Colorado Challenge program, which works more on focusing effort on bringing locals to downtown. And then the Colorado Main Street program, which is more of a strategic planning process. These two programs combine then into the program that we're continuing forward, which is basically a Main Street strategic planning process. The challenge, the Colorado Challenge program, is one where you have an opportunity to share your challenges as a community with a panel of local stakeholders as well as experts from outside the area, small business and community experts from outside the area. And that's a panel that does a little team building, and then they come together and they come up with some ideas. And some of them are pretty unique ideas. That was all led by Downtown Colorado Incorporated. And then Downtown Colorado Incorporated came into our Main Street effort as well. So now we are working with Downtown Colorado Incorporated to help guide our Main Street strategic planning process. That process began concurrently with the Challenge program, but that is a panel of local stakeholders, a cross-section of businesses, business owners primarily, who are working with us to steer the community into some objectives, some initiatives, and most importantly, a work plan. And that, we are now at the phase where we are going to be implementing work plan. We need to get back into it. COVID, of course, affected everything, so everything's been pushed off a little bit. But that's all still coming in the works, including the Mayor's Industry Advisory Panel. These are all kind of dovetailing off of each other into creating, hopefully, a very, very vibrant community. The plans themselves and our department are really based on vibrancy. We're trying to create a very vibrant economy that will not only support small businesses, but attract larger businesses to the area. 57% of the people in Fremont County work outside of Fremont County. And when you want to bring locals downtown and people are driving from Colorado Springs home at 8 o'clock at night, they're not going to come downtown. So it's a big effort to bring not only small businesses, but larger primary jobs to the area as well. So it's been a pretty fun effort, actually. Now, some of the objectives of the Main Street program, it's really a strategic planning process. So you're creating a mission and a vision statement. You're creating some objectives and a work plan. The mission statement that came out of this program is cultivating a vibrant business and Main Street environment that attracts artisans, residents, and visitors. And then the vision statement is fostering local entrepreneurship in a business-friendly environment honoring our historical district. So that is really tying into a lot of the strength that we have in this community, one of the most recent strengths being the technology sector. When it comes to attracting primary jobs too, we're trying to dovetail off of that as much as we can. But though the mission and vision is what's leading into some objectives, some strategies. Just a quick read of the strategies. One is to increase the occupancy of businesses to create a balanced and vibrant commercial district. Another is to increase event awareness. We are an event economy in this community. Increase event awareness and identify new events to attract people to downtown on a year-round basis. The third is to coordinate goals of multiple entities, businesses, event boards, chambers, and so on, to create alignment, cohesion, and maximize impact. We're a pretty small community, but there's a lot of initiatives out there that just are not coordinated very well. And one of the goals brought about by this group was to create that strategy. And then number 4, to market and promote downtown to residents, visitors in the region. So there's a very significant marketing effort to economic development now, probably much more than there was before. On the business retention and recruitment side, retention, COVID-19 really impacted that. I mean, it really dictated how we retain businesses. It was really a matter of helping businesses survive and doing whatever we could to make it so that they can function. We worked with businesses, bar owners, to help them get open, help come up with protocol to open up. We worked with the restaurant owners to come up with consistency between businesses so that they can instill some confidence in consumers. There was a very afraid consumer base out there, and that really affected the businesses. So we worked very, very closely with a lot of the businesses to come up with ways to help them make customers more comfortable in their environments. Wear the mask campaign, I won't even say what it's called, but it's not just wear the mask, it's wear the mask campaign. But the retention side of it also was, like you mentioned earlier, Mayor, the grant funding that went to the businesses. Lots of businesses received lots and lots of grant funding, whether it's heaters or outdoor patios or to-go containers, $27,000 of to-go containers we distributed. So all of the effort really on retaining was really due to COVID-19. On the recruitment side, we have a relationship with a company called Buxton, and Buxton allows us the analytics, the buying habits, the trends of people that come to our community, so we can understand who they are, what they buy, and that will then help us attract more businesses to our area that align with those. So, and there's a lot more where that came from, but that's my report for today.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, thank you for providing this opportunity to reach out and interact with our community. Hello, Canyon City. Report from Canyon City Police Department is, I'm happy to report, not remarkable in that we've not seen significant increases or decreases in crime from last year to this year. When we do a quarterly comparison, we've actually done pretty well this year, and we've seen some reductions, and we've seen some increases in clearance ratings, which is a good thing. Those clearance ratings mean that we're solving crime, making arrests. When we look at property crimes, we're looking across the board. We're looking at around an 18% reduction, and 40% when we start talking about theft offenses and destruction of property crimes. And our fraud offenses were down significantly, and our clearance ratings for property crimes were up 50%. So we made twice as many arrests, comparatively speaking. When we look at persons crimes, and the results are pretty consistent. We did see a slight increase in certain category crimes like kidnapping. We had 9 more cases reported in a single quarter than we did the same time last year, but I'm happy to report all 9 of those cases were cleared, which meant that those cases were solved and arrests were made in those cases. So from a crime standpoint, things look pretty good. Our traffic situation, our tickets have been up in 2020, and particularly the second and third quarter in terms of municipal and county. Our parking tickets were down a little bit, so we've got to focus there. Our DUIs, surprisingly, were down. Our traffic enforcement results were up, but yet we saw a decrease in our overall DUI numbers. Our case reports averaged about 1,100 per quarter. We average about 300 arrests in that same time period. We saw a significant increase in our second quarter and third quarter reports with regards to narcotics arrests. We saw 18 cases in the third quarter as opposed to 3 in the second quarter, so we saw a significant increase there. And again, back to traffic, we saw an increase in traffic accidents. We saw 120 traffic accidents in the third quarter as opposed to 63 in the second quarter. Those numbers were up a bit. We would shift gears a little bit and talk about our community services, which is our code enforcement folks. Our numbers have stayed pretty consistent. We're averaging about 700 calls annually, and it's literally almost split right down the middle, animal and code enforcement. We average about 50% of our call base is either code enforcement or animal control. Looking ahead for 2021, I've got some things in mind that we certainly want to work towards. Recently met with Dee Dee Clements of Loaves and Fishes. Want to expand our partnership with the Homeless Coalition. Right now, we're talking about putting in protocols in place to recycle abandoned property, such as backpacks and bicycles and things like that. She said she can certainly find a use for them. So we're looking at that. We'd like to expand our collaboration between our program managers with Loaves and Fishes and our co-responder program, within CCPD, partnering them up once a month to have them focus their efforts in a collaboration, expanding services and resources that we deliver to help reduce the homelessness in the area. I was really amazed. She took me on a tour of Journey House, and I couldn't help but notice the stark contrast as I stood on the third floor of Journey House and looked out the back window, and how wonderful things were going for this segment of the community in Journey House, and how their lives had turned around and they were moving in positive, productive, forward motion, and yet we had people still back in the back lots and tents trying to figure things out. And I asked Dee Dee, if we had any idea, possibly what the data said in terms of, when they're able to make a transition, a positive transition like Journey House, what kind of reduction that we might see in terms of police services. And she wasn't certain. She said she'd love to have those numbers. So we're working, I'm working with ITI. We're putting some classifications together in our records management system. And I'm going to reach out to the director of dispatch, Bill Dugan, and try to do the same thing on that end to flag those calls that involve homeless people, and see if we can get a number of police service, police man hours that are consumed either on crime or calls for service related to homelessness. So I think that if we can put those things in place, that might give us an idea of the impact that those positive movements like Journey House has. So we're definitely, certainly excited about that. So expanding that database will certainly help us establish a correlation, see what that correlation is between Journey House and police services. Like to focus this year, 2021, expanding training in a number of areas, such as use of force, active violence, making sure our folks are out in the community talking with folks and educating them on active violence, and then making sure we're ready to respond, should anything in that way come this way. Look to expand our leadership training and crime analysis, and expand our focus on code enforcement so that we can apply that that mechanism or that branch of the PD a little more proactively. And also look at evidence handling and evidence management. I'd also like to expand our partnerships with organizations, victims advocate organizations like the Child Advocacy Center, working towards reducing incidents of child abuse, child exploitation, those types of things. We're going to be fortunate this year, as we talked about Monday night. We're going to rename or rededicate the Canyon City Police Department in memory of the late Chief Martin Stefanik. So we're looking forward to that in the spring. We'd like to continue to improve traffic safety, expanding awareness and offering different degrees of enforcement. We're trying to put together right now a comprehensive traffic safety program that would include both awareness initiatives and enforcement initiatives throughout the department. Improve our narcotics investigations through collaboration with peer agencies. Recently met with Sheriff Cooper, and we had a good conversation. And next month, we are going to bring all the sheriffs and chiefs in the 11th District together here in Canyon, so we can start talking about opportunities to expand our collaborative efforts. Last but not least, most certainly, I'd like to expand our community involvement in CCPD. I've talked with Mr. Stevens extensively on this. I'd like to open up segments of CCPD to the community and bring them in and help them, or let them help us in terms of recruitment and hiring, putting together panels. I think it's important that they have a voice in that capacity. These folks, the men and women of Canyon City PD are their servants. They're going to be their community partners. They should have a voice in that. So we're definitely going to look to try and roll that in. The Young Adult Police Commission, I'd like to put that in place this year, and potentially or possibly Citizens Academy, so we can bring folks in and help them understand what it is that we do, because I think that's important to have that dialogue open all the time, so we can continue to experience the wonderful community support that we have right now. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Schick, and thank you, Rick Harmon. So we have kind of reviewed where we have been in the past year and where we are right now, and I'd like to have our city council take over in looking to the future of some of our goals and things that we would like to accomplish in this coming year. We will start with Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick and just automatically move down the line.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So what I'm talking about this afternoon is a move from the city's previous strategic plan format and business plan format, which was essentially a 5-year planning activity where you had objectives and you had measures. The objectives were in 6 different areas: economic development, public safety, infrastructure, attractive built environment, community investment opportunities, and public trust, transparency, and accountability. And then under each of those strategic objectives, there were numerous sub-objectives or goals that were in those plans. Sometimes 15, 20, 25 individual goals under each of those 6 areas, which in looking at it, what that really shook out to be is a command and control structure for management, and having numerous goals like that make it almost impossible for the frontline employees to incorporate those into their daily thinking and their daily work activities. And so what the city is going to move towards, we've started that here, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Is the balanced scorecard approach, and the balanced scorecard essentially will give our city employees throughout the city, wherever they work, an ability to align their day-to-day activities with our city's vision, mission, and values. To do that, the balanced scorecard starts with strategic objectives. There are five areas rather than six, actually 4 areas if I read it right here. But basically, customer or human resources, how humans interact to do their job, financial measures, financial goals, internal processes, which is important for any organization to have their finger on that, and then learning and growth. And what that does is that covers pretty much the breadth that employees, as they're doing their daily activities, they can use this as a map to check and direct their daily activities so that it's more focused towards the overall mission of the organization. In that case, it's our city. But so the process involves, it's a top-down, goes through middle management down to the employee level and then back again. And so that's the feedback part of it, which is absolutely critical in making sure that any program that is implemented is moving in the right direction. But City Council sat down and established in those 4 areas, customer, human resources, financial, internal processes, learning, growth, strategic objectives. Underneath those, that has been done. Those strategic objectives are taken to the management, mid-level department heads in the city to get measures of performance for each of those objectives. And so as you move down through this, there's a buy-in of each level of employees that are involved in this. Once those measures are set, then those measures are taken down to the employee levels, where the employees can set their objectives. If I have this right, Ryan, and to make sure that their objectives, their day-to-day activities, are aligned with our overall activities and goals. And our overarching goal is to have Canyon City to be a vibrant, attractive, and safe community that values quality of life, adventure, and prosperity. And underneath that vision, we have the specific objectives. For instance, Canyon City is a dynamic destination with a small town feel. Underneath that will be the measures, like the percent change in hotel occupancy rates year over year as a way of looking at whether we are indeed a dynamic destination. Also using a heat map by visitors by Zip, which is a way to visually look at where visitors are coming, where they're spending their time, and we have different tools that will help us carry that out. But all in all, we're moving to the balanced scorecard. It's an important thing for our city to do that. Because there are specific metrics with each measure and strategic objective, and it provides an explicit linkage for our city strategy to be able to be involved in day-to-day activities. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I wanted to say that when I was asked to do this, I really jumped at the economic development portion of this because I like to talk about new fun projects, and Rick kind of set me up here. But before I start on the new projects in the works, I just wanted to commend the economic development team for all their hard work in 2020, navigating the COVID-19 situations and helping out all the small businesses downtown and throughout the entire city. The first thing I'm going to start off with is the creation of the Urban Renewal Authority. We definitely had some challenges, I think, in the understanding processes of the Urban Renewal Authority in the beginning, but it has come to fruition, and we have a filing that's active right now with the St. Cloud Hotel. We have discussions starting Friday with TZAC Heavy Equipment about the Fremont County Bank building on Main Street. And we also have interest with St. Scholastica and the Abbey projects. The new fire station is in development. In addition, a letter of intent has been submitted to the fire district for development interest in creating a quick service restaurant and possible private healthcare or retail type of business front locations in the fire station site. The Abbey project continues to move forward, and we anticipate pre-planning meetings by mid-year. The city is currently in conversations with 3 convenience stores that are in the pre-planning phase, as well as a quick service restaurant. None of these projects have submitted formal applications. Conversations with housing development and obtainable housing in Canyon City. Will be talking with other commercial developers later on the week to brainstorm ideas. Colorado Legacy Land will begin public discussions about the Cotter Mine project south of town. This project will include possible spec-build industrial buildings, and half the project possibly could be annexed into the city. We're beginning conversations with a developer interested in marketing the former Jewett's building and discussing retail matches and potential zone considerations. Obviously, Buxton, who Rick Harmon mentioned earlier, has matches in the community and is working to promote our community and fill our commercial vacancies. And we're working with a company to install electrical vehicle charging stations in the city owned parking lots across from Big Daddy's Diner as a way to make Canyon City a charging location to generate downtown exposure and foot traffic. And that's all I have.
My turn. Great. So I wanted to talk about something lively and fun. And so I was assigned quality of life. But so much of what each department does really does contribute to our quality of life. So much of what I'm going to say has already been said. But one of the many reasons that I love living in Canyon City, I attribute to my quality of life. If you look for it, we have a lot of resources and supports that are available to us. As long as I've been on council, the city has been striving for excellence in improving our quality of life. Some of the advances that have positively influenced our quality of life here in Canyon City are many of our park improvements, and they're ongoing, our new gateway and wayfinding signs, and some of these are previous improvements. The development and soon to be implemented Highway 50 corridor plan, the expansion of Tunnel Drive Trail to the Royal Gorge, the River Corridor Project, urban renewal development, additional parking on Main Street, along with the purchase of the clock tower at 3rd and Main, the purchase and demolition of the old Constantino's building, 2A funds for much-needed road repairs, and then not to mention, even though this was not a city project, if it hadn't have been a collaborative effort, it wouldn't have been so successful. But the new farmers market on Main Street that happened to be developed and implemented in the middle of a nationwide pandemic. That's pretty incredible, I think. Many of our locals work for locally owned or own their own businesses. Needless to say, these folks have struggled through an incredibly tough year. Our timing couldn't have been better as a city to have on hand some great assets. Once again, we're going to talk about the economic development department. Rick Harmon has built lasting relationships with new and existing business owners to make their startup or expansion projects easier, and has set the stage for success for many of these businesses moving forward. Brandy has done incredible jobs supporting businesses with grants, with grant funds in various sorts. And Tom Dixon has been pounding the pavement, working hard to gain a pulse on the needs of our Main Street and small business community. City Hall is going through a culture change, and it's apparent with these folks working alongside our community that we're moving in the right direction. I'm pleased to say that the quality of life in Canyon City is strong and continues to grow stronger.
Good afternoon. I am Tim Dennehy, and I want to say thank you, and I'm excited to do this. This is my first year on City Council, and it has been a learning experience, but it has been a very rewarding time. And right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about, what the public interest is right now. And there's a few things that have come up at council, and I think the biggest one is, Black Hills Energy, and we saw that on our ballot this year. And the election in the city for the 10-year renewal got turned down, which is, it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing. It happened. And so now, people are saying, what's next? Well, Black Hills right now is still our energy provider. We can't really change that. The Public Utility Commission does have some very strong stuff in there. It's not easy to say, this is our energy company, we're going to vote them out. I wish it was that easy, not necessarily against Black Hills, but if that's what the people's voice is. But unfortunately, that is not what we can do. However, we will continue looking at different things. We are going to be, forming an advisory energy committee on that topic, and there will be more discussion of this on, boy, I gotta look here, February 3rd. So, if anybody has any interest in that, please come to that meeting on Wednesday, February 3rd, and let us know. Put your voice out there. Let us know what we can, what you want, what we can do for Canyon City. Another hot topic this year was we've heard a lot of people asking for recycling of glass. We lost our recycling of glass, and recycling is an important part of our our lifestyle, our community, keeping our community cleaner, and that is another thing that we at council recognize, and we are going to be looking at that at a meeting at our vision meeting on January 20th. And there again, I would like to ask anybody to please come, give us your ideas. This is an important thing, keeping our city clean. When you see anything, please pick it up. We have a great city here. Let's just keep it going. And then the other thing, the last thing that I have, which is one that I personally take very personally, is a community rec center. This is something that we've all heard about. Ichabod Pool has got a lifespan of 2 to 3 years left. This is not just a average thing. That is it. That's all we got left for a community pool. But a rec center for our community, personally, I feel is extremely important. This November, there will be 2 issues on our ballot. There will be a bond issue and a mill levy issue for the passing of this, to get a rec center going for us. Many have said that the bond issue will be, $40 million. It is not that high. It's still a high number, but it is not a $40 million number. But it is a very important project for this community. And I would ask everybody to take a look at that. And, as far as our youth, giving them a place to swim, our senior citizens, actually all citizens, but community rec centers bring communities together as well. So please take a look at that. It's an exciting time in Canyon, and couldn't be more proud to be a part of this community.
Thank you, council members. I'd like to turn the time now to another new position that was filled in 2020, and that was our city administrator, Ryan Stevens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council and staff. As we wrap up this meeting, there's, a lot of great things happened in 2020. COVID was certainly not one of them, but even with COVID occurring, we didn't take our foot off the gas pedal. We kept moving forward. We updated that 2006 building code to 2018. We started the comprehensive plan that hadn't been updated in over 20 years. We put the Urban Renewal Authority in place, and all the other great work that we did on streets and the public infrastructure. We're going to continue to do that here in 2021. We've got a great budget and a great work plan for 2021, and we're going to continue to do that. As Councilwoman Gonzalez said, we're continuing to work on the culture and business-friendly and customer service aspects of what we do within city government, and we'll continue to do that, continue to build a great team around us and to serve this community. We're working on collaboration, not just within City Hall and within the city government, but as Chief Schick mentioned, with our outside organizations as well. So we're going to continue to make those strides, and my goal is to build this community for something that my kids will be proud to live in, and for everybody's kids and for everybody to be proud to live in. And we're going to continue to make those strides and move forward with that. And I appreciate this council's support in making those efforts.
Thank you, Ryan Stevens. While all of our lives were turned upside down in significant ways in 2020, especially those who fell critically ill or lost loved ones due to COVID-19, I am incredibly proud of Canyon City's ability to find ways to still flourish. It has been a 100% team effort, as you've seen tonight, of the professionalism and passion of our city council, as well as all of our city staff who are aligning to create the most efficient and effective services in a business-friendly manner. That also includes the collaboration of our neighboring entities and each and every one of you as our citizens. Thank you wholeheartedly. We are looking forward to a new year as our momentum is building to enhance the quality small town life and our economic health and increased housing and job diversity. It is an honor to serve you. And with that, this is a wrap for our 2021 State of the City tonight, and thank each and every one of you for all that you do. Thank you.